Alrighty, so we finished officially 3-1. Unofficially, I would say 2-1 since we got the scoop. But to be fair, if my opponent was winning in game 1, they would not have conceded the match. So I don't know. It's hard to say. But overall, I liked how the deck performed. I do still need to get some reps in against Storm. I feel like, you know, if you guys have watched me stream it all, Comic Lord just beats the crap out of me relentlessly in that matchup, and I need to find a better configuration of stuff. I do think therapy and counterspells and like blasts and stuff is definitely the right place to be, but as you guys saw, you know, sometimes we misidentify things and kind of make decisions that end up not being so good. So Null Rod would certainly help a little bit, but this deck is mostly taxed on mana in the early game. Something like Deathrite Shaman might actually help that, but I really don't like Deathrite Shaman in my Volcanic Island deck, because that doesn't end up, you know, being very good. But regardless, I mean, you know, if these needles were Null Rods, maybe, but then they kind of conflict with the Nile Spell Bombs again. If I had a Spell Bomb, that game might have been, probably would have been a lot different. But, like, then again, like, I wouldn't have had the mana to, like, set up my draws with Ponder and stuff. So, like, maybe I would just have to mulligan if it was, like, a one-land Spell Bomb hand. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of cards for them, right? Like, I have this many, and then, like, a Staticaster I feel like is reasonable. They did end up having green because they can, like, backdoor Mire into Bayou. I didn't really think about how, like, Bayou might be the land that they wanted, because if they wanted to cast Abrupt Decay, they couldn't really get Bayou and Volcanic. But I guess, you know, like, Volcanic and whatever is not going to cast Decay anyway, so, like, your land maybe should just be a Bayou anyway, but something I need to pay a little bit more attention to is, like, the actual configuration in Storm decks also. But yeah, I mean, we have a bunch of cards. They're not great cards against Storm. I would say that the Therapy and, like, the Spell Bombs are definitely excellent, and then I don't mind the Blast. The Staticaster is just kind of a hedge, and then if these Needles were Null Rods, you know, that would make a reasonable difference. But again, 2 mana is, it's not free, you know, like 2 is a pretty big cost. But Storm's a hell of a deck. Just like the bane of my Legacy existence, like the last year or so. I don't know. I just never really had a problem beating it up until recently. But I think the Storm pilots have gotten very good. So, deck as game. As you can see, we beat Miracle's Mud and lost to Storm. But overall, there's like not a lot I want to change. You know, I've been working on this deck for a long time. I think the main deck is right where I want to be, basically. I mean, maybe you could change these fetches around, but it really doesn't matter. And then the sideboard could, yeah, maybe use some work, but like I said, this is some real life metagame stuff, so maybe it's not the best for Magic Online, but it just kind of is what it is. I really don't like Needle, but I don't like Null Rod with Nile Spellbomb, and the second Blue Blast could probably go. So yeah, you have some slots to work with. Like the Deluge might not be necessary either. So yeah, that's it. Deck is great. Practice. You should practice with this deck, especially if you're used to playing like Delver decks or whatever. Like, this is very much a controlled deck, so keep that in mind as you're playing it. We didn't really come into a bunch of situations where, like, you know, they're fighting over my young Pyromancers and I'm letting them go, and like you don't get to see how that kind of like translates into victory or whatever. The only spot that we were really in was when we just had to jam them both against an active counterbalance and pray, and that worked out. But yeah, there are definitely some things that at first glance might not be necessarily understood, just because, you know, people might think like, oh, I need to find a clock. Like with my Dig Through Time, I need to pick up this young Pyromancer and, like, you know, try and close the game out and stuff, and it's not like that. You know, you can just kind of sit back, chill a little bit, just use your mana every turn. That's kind of like the biggest rule. And that's about it. You will achieve mediocrity just like me and my overall 2-1 record today. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Legacy is excellent. I always have a lot of fun. Yeah, I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.